If you're visiting Italy for the first time, make sure to watch our video. We're going to be going over our itinerary and some tips you should be aware of. Hi, I'm Haley.
And I'm Ryan.
And after months of planning, we finally made the trip to Italy. Today, we're going to be sharing our experiences of that trip.
Yeah, so we were in Italy for a total of 10 days. During that 10-day period, we saw Rome, Naples, Vatican City, Pompeii, the Sorrento, the Amalfi Coast, and the Isle of Capri.
Yep, and once we arrived, so we flew into FCO Airport, and we got there around 9 a.m. and we boarded our train around 10:30. So you can kind of have an idea. It took us an hour and a half to get off the plane, get our luggage, and get to the terminal. How we did it was when we got to the terminal, we purchased our tickets through the Trent Italia app on our phones. And once you purchase that ticket on your phone, you'll check in and validate on your phone. If you don't want to purchase your ticket through the app though, there are kiosks, there's probably a dozen kiosks at the terminal, and there's also employees working if you have any questions or any difficulties or issues. When I went in, I wasn't sure on how to check in, so I walked up to the person and asked, "Hey, I'm here to check in. How do I check in?" And you check in on the app, and it'll bring up a QR code, and you scan that to get into where there are three different trains. And we took the Leonardo Express into Rome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the train system was really efficient, really easy to find. So once you get through, pick up your bags, get through customs, all that, there's lots of signage that'll show you exactly where to go to get onto the trains. The trains at the airport are connected to the airport, so it's just an easy walkway to get to the train terminal. Once we arrived at the terminal in Rome, it's a little chaotic, a little hectic. The Roman terminal is very busy, very large. Lots of trains go in and out of there to go everywhere throughout the whole country. We got our bags, got off the train, and then we started making our way to our Airbnb. Our Airbnb was right around the corner from the Trevi Fountain, so it was a really great location. From the main terminal, it was about a mile walk to our Airbnb, and we figured that we could walk it. What we did not count on was the condition of the streets and the sidewalks in Rome. They're not like they are in the States. So a lot of cobblestone, a lot of very high curbs. The sidewalks were very narrow, filled with people, filled with cars on the streets. And we found that wheeling luggage through cobblestone streets did not work out too good. The wheels were getting stuck. We were dragging suitcases up over curbs, and it made a mile walk into like an exercise. So we recommend, if you're walking over a mile to get to where you're going from the Roman terminal, take an Uber, take a taxi. They're easy to find. They're not that expensive, and they'll get you there a lot quicker and in a lot better condition.
Yep. Bringing it up, so at first, when we first got our Airbnb, we were worried that we weren't going to be able to check in early. And what do we do with our luggage if we get there early? We flew in at 9 in the morning. Our check-in originally was at 3 p.m. at the Airbnb. So just know at the airports and terminals, all the train stations, there are places that will hold your luggage for a fee. We actually utilized this when we went down to Naples. So just know if you have an early flight coming in and your Airbnb won't let you check in until 3 p.m. or your hotel won't let you check in until 3 p.m., there are places to help you store your luggage. Yeah. So then after we checked into the Airbnb, we went to the Spanish Stairs, and it was dark by the time we got there, but it was still really pretty. Just know though, in Italy, the earlier you get to things, the less crowded it is. So it was very crowded when we went, but it was still really fun.
Yeah, the Spanish Steps are beautiful. They're definitely like one of the must-sees while you're there. It's kind of something you got to see during the day and during the night, just to compare the two. They're very nice, great for photos, but during the day it can get really crowded. After we saw the steps that night, we went and had dinner at a nice restaurant that we highly recommend called La Campagna. Very close to the Spanish Steps, and it's one of the oldest restaurants in all of Rome. It's all been in the family for generations. It's very traditional, not very touristy at all. It's actually kind of difficult to find. It's down an alley that you normally wouldn't think a restaurant would be down. But we managed to find it. They brought us in, and everybody that was in there was all Italian families. We were like the only tourists there, but they were really kind to us, very helpful, and the food was fantastic. It was just a great, authentic experience, and we highly recommend it.
Yep, so that was our day 1. Day 2, we started our day off by waking up early. So we went in March, and the sunrise is around 6:20 in the morning. And we went to the Trevi Fountain to get pictures and videos at the Trevi Fountain. We got there around 7 in the morning, so just a little after sunrise. We fully recommend going early. There was almost no people there, so our videos and pictures, we could get the whole fountain without people being in the background. And later in the day, it is so crowded at that fountain. You have to like squeeze your way through people. So going early was really nice not having those people there.
If you're planning on going to Italy, I'm sure you've probably already watched videos and seen pictures of the Trevi Fountain and the crowds that it draws. And those are entirely accurate. Early in the morning, it was mostly just us, maybe a few other people. When we returned to our Airbnb later in the day, which was close to the Trevi Fountain, you could hardly see the fountain past the amount of people that were in front of it.
Yeah.
It gets crazy there. So highly recommend
And going early.
waking up early, yeah, and going in the morning to get some good pictures on your own.
Yep.
And don't drink the water of the fountain. But if you want to drink some water from the fountain,
Yeah.
if you face the fountain, and I'm sure you've seen this on other videos, if you face the fountain on the right-hand side, there's like a second little hidden fountain, and like I don't know if we have.
There's like 2 water streams going this way, and if with a couple, one like you're both supposed to drink from it at the same time. At least that's what a local told us.
A little hidden thing, but it is kind of cool. I don't know if we have footage of it, but
yeah, it's very
like a little Easter egg. So cool.
From there, we went to Vatican City Museum and the Sistine Chapel. So it was pouring down rain. Where we got our Airbnb, which by the way, if you get an Airbnb by Trevi Fountain, know that it might be kind of noisy. Our Airbnb was very noisy near the Trevi Fountain, like all night long, even at midnight it was noisy. So just be aware of that. But the Airbnb we stayed at was beautiful. But so we took an Uber to Vatican City, and it was chaos when we got there. People everywhere. We initially got in the wrong line. I guess if you already have your tickets pre-booked, which we recommend doing, there's a whole different line. But there's really no line. It was just a crowd of people inching towards like 3 guys checking your passport and the ticket. The name on the ticket has to match your ID, and they normally want to see your passport because it's just easier, so they don't have to do 20 different kinds of IDs. They want to see your passport ID with your ticket.
Yeah, so like she said, it was kind of crazy. There's very little signage and very little direction. Once you get to like the front entrance of the museum, which it is a museum, I was not aware of that. I thought that it was like you walk into Vatican City and you're just there and you can just walk around. It's very much a linear path through, I guess it's the museum.
Yeah,
but
Vatican Museum.
Yes, whatever the basilica or whatever it actually is. A linear path through that. It is not just like a free-for-all where you just walk through. That being said, that it is a linear path and there's a lot of people in very narrow hallways, you end up just kind of like shuffling, like shoulder to shoulder with other people through this path. It wasn't a bad experience. I thought it was beautiful.
It's very beautiful.
If you're into art and history, you could spend your entire day there easily. It was overwhelming, the amount of like priceless artifacts and art and history that's in that building.
Eventually, this museum leads to the Sistine Chapel.
Yes,
so
at the end.
Yes.
That's kind of what everybody wants to see.
And be prepared to walk a lot. Like he said, it's a linear path, but there's a lot of, you're walking through museum after museum after museum to get to the Sistine Chapel.
Benches.
Yes, no seats, no benches.
Yeah.
However, in the Sistine Chapel, be aware. So, no photography.
No
not,
video.
Yeah, no video. Like, it's not even, oh, don't use flash. No video, no pictures. And it has to be quiet. But there are benches on the outside, but you cannot stand by them. So if you do not have a seat on the bench, you have to stand off to the right and more like in the center. There was a guy when we went yelling the whole time, clear the path for people to walk right through. You cannot stand in that path, which is right by those benches.
Yeah, they're they're very strict about where you stand, where you sit, where you should move, where you should not move. When you enter the room, they'll direct you right where to stand. And it was a beautiful room. The artwork was incredible. Just kind of the chaos of the whole direction and keep moving, no photography. Kind of took away from it a little bit. But still beautiful.
It was. And try to wait for someone to get off the bench and sit, because when you can sit, you really can see the ceiling and enjoy the artwork. So
yeah, that's about what to say about that.
Yeah, and then when you leave, you end up, so you're walking through the museum, you get through the Sistine Chapel, you end up in the same place you entered. We didn't know that. We thought you would enter in more the Vatican City so you can go to other things. No, you exit that museum right where you came from. Also know too, at the end, after Sistine Chapel, you go to their gift shop, but they also have a mail room where you can buy a postcard and mail something to your family, your loved ones, or yourself from Vatican.
Yeah,
so,
highly recommend.
Yes.
As you know, Vatican City is its own sovereign nation, essentially. So they have their own post office. And,
and bring a pen. It's €2 for a pen if you don't have one.
They capitalize on the salesmanship.
Yeah, and everyone in that area was like, who has a pen? Do you have a pen? Do you have a pen? Can I use your pen?
Yeah.
So just bring your own pen and be...
It's also important to note that St. Peter's Basilica is a separate ticket than the museum.
Yes, we didn't know that.
Yeah, we weren't aware of that, so, and the line stretches all the way around the piazza, so...
Yes. We didn't end up getting to do that because we didn't know that was a whole separate ticket, and even getting there, because when we exited the museum, it was in the same spot we entered. We're like, well, how do we get there, you know?
Yeah.
And we ended up
You can still walk around the square, but just enter the basilica as a separate ticket.
Yeah.
But that pretty much concludes our day 2.
Yeah. Day 3. We started the day off early heading to the Coliseum. In my opinion, this was the highlight of our trip. This was one thing I really wanted to do being in Rome, Italy. It's something you have to do, you know? And we started the day off early. We got there around 8 a.m. Our tickets were for 9 a.m. So we spent the first hour taking pictures and videos. In my personal opinion, I think the best photo spot was on the northern side of the Colosseum. You'll cross the road and you'll see some stairs. Go up those stairs and you will get the most beautiful shot of the outside of the Colosseum. And in my opinion, this was the best photo spot. And then from there, we went to the Coliseum. Our tickets were at 9. You cannot enter the line until 10 minutes prior to your ticket time, so 8:50. We got our tickets through Coop Culture. Coop Culture is the main company that sells the tickets for the Coliseum. This is not guided. However, the tickets are very cheap, but you have to be on it, like on the computer at a certain time 30 days prior to get that ticket on Coop Culture, because companies like tour companies will buy up these tickets and sell them for triple the price. So we lucked out and got the general it was like full access tickets from Coop Culture, and we had one underground ticket. So we wanted to do the underground, but we did not want to spend $150 on a tour guide to go through the underground. We lucked out and got one ticket, and I wasn't sure. I got the ticket, put it in my name, but I thought any of us could go. No. whoever's name is on that ticket has to be the one that goes. So I was the one that went to the underground, and what we did, because both tickets were around 9 a.m., so my dad and Ryan went in on their end. Just so you know, if you have an underground ticket, it's a different line, which I didn't know that either. So there's two different lines, and I went to the underground, and then they went and we met in the center. The underground portion was really worth it. I didn't know if it would be, because I heard that it's not, that you don't get to see that much more. It's not worth it, and if it rains, you can't even go in it because then it floods. And I was like, well, is this even worth it? I was actually going to have Ryan do it, but then they're like, no, my name's on the ticket, so I had to do it. So I recorded a lot so they could see it, but it was worth it. I did enjoy it. So even if you can't get the Coop Culture ones, looking back, I wish I would have just went and bought $150 tour guide tickets to do the underground. It was really worth it, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Colosseum's iconic. That's the one thing everybody thinks of when they go to Rome. So the lines will get very long. They are timed lines, so you don't got to worry about like finding your spot. We noticed that as the day progressed and it got later in the day, it got busier and busier in the Colosseum. So Rome is definitely a place that you want to get up early and take advantage of having less crowds. Once we were inside the Colosseum, I mean, it's spectacular. It's exactly what you think it's going to be like. You know, things over 2,000 years old and it's still standing. I mean, that's kind of a testament to how incredible the structure is. A lot of history, a lot of things to see, a lot of signs to read. To one of those places you can kind of spend and choose how long you want to spend there, essentially. You can blow through it and, move on to some other things, take some great photos, but if you're really into history, you can also slow down. And you can spend your whole day just in the Colosseum, reading the signs, looking at the exhibits. There's so many artifacts that they keep there. If you have the underground tour, that's another thing to add. There's 3 levels to the Colosseum. You can buy tickets to get to the higher levels. Those are kind of like exclusive tickets. Not everybody has access to those. Everyone does have access to the first 2 levels, as well as the arena floor. You can walk the arena grounds as well. If you've not seen pictures of the Colosseum as it is today, it's not what you think of in the Gladiator movie. The Colosseum floor is gone, essentially. You can look down into what was underneath the floor of the Colosseum, the underground tour, where Haley went. There is a covering that covers about a quarter of the arena ground that you can actually go out on and kind of stand on the arena floor. Incredible, still amazing, and highly recommend. While you're in the Colosseum, and once you leave the Colosseum, do not skip the Roman Forums, which is what we did next.
Yep. Going back to the Coliseum, though, I was a little bummed. I found out Lizzie McGuire did not perform her concert in the Coliseum. I had to throw that in there for all the Lizzie McGuire fans out there. But yes, the Roman Forum. We were shocked how long the line was. So we had, through Coop Culture, we had those full access tickets, which included the Roman Forum. The line was very long. Where you enter, I guess, I don't know how to say it. So if you're looking at the Coliseum, where you enter your line, you would turn to the right is where the line begins to go into the Forum. And when we went, mind you, we went in March, so this is not a big tourist time, and the line was still crazy long. So we waited in that line and got through and got to the Roman Forum, which was definitely worth doing.
Yeah, so the Forums is, if you're not familiar with what it is, it's essentially like the downtown of ancient Rome. That's where all the biggest temples were, where all the main roads were, all the stalls and the commerce and government buildings. It was a very important part of Roman culture in ancient Rome. It was the center of everything. It's a wide open area. It's huge. You can do a lot of walking there, and it looks intimidating when you first see it because there's very little direction or what to do or where to go. Once you get through the line and they scan your ticket and you're in, it's up to you to where you want to walk in the forums. You can quickly walk through and be done with it, or again, you can take your time and really get the most out of it. It's up to you. When you go through security and get checked in, you can scan a QR code for an app that will give you a map of the area. There are no paper maps. The maps for the forums are on your phone through the app. Highly recommend. That was helpful to know what we were looking at and where we were going.
In my personal opinion, I would recommend going to the left and going up the stairs and then through like where there's orange trees, kind of walking through there. I thought the best view of the place was up to the left through the orange trees with that view.
The aviary. Yeah, that's it's a confusing place.
Yeah,
but if you find the aviary and walk past the orange trees, you'll
that's
find.
all I remembered.
Sounds cryptic, but that's where you'll find the best view.
Yes, it was really beautiful, and there is a lot of history, and you learn a lot. Some of them, there's like areas that you can go in, but they all have their own line to get into. The build, some of the buildings.
A few temples that are still there that do require some waiting, but it's not too bad.
Also note that at the very end of the forum, you can't exit. So we thought we could exit. We bought tickets to Castle St Angelo, and we're like, all right, we're at the end. We gotta like hurry and get to Castle St Angelo, and there was no exit. We could not find how to get out. It's more in the center or at the beginning to exit. So know that.
When you go, that exit at the end of the forums may be open. It was closed due to construction for us, so we had to backtrack to get out. But there are a few exits, so just be aware of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also at the Coliseum and the forum, note that the bathrooms will cost money. So I think the bathroom right outside the Coliseum, because in the Coliseum we asked, he went into a gift shop, was like, hey, where's the restroom at? They said on the outside, and that bathroom I think costs 1.5 euros. So always keep euros, coins to use the bathrooms. All throughout Italy, you have to pay to use the public restroom.
Yeah.
And then we went to Castle St Angelo, which was really worth doing at sunset. So that's about when we did it, and it is so beautiful.
That's easily the time to go.
Yes.
Castle St Angelo is along the river, kind of right in downtown Rome. It's a very prominent building. You'll see it and easily recognize it for what it is. It's got like medieval walls. It's circular. It started out as a mausoleum, and then it was converted throughout history into kind of a military fortification, a prison. It was a few different things, and now today it's a museum. Like Haley said, if you go in the evening, which I recommend is the best time to go, you will have one of the best views from the top of the castle, and you'll see the city. You'll see St. Peter's Basilica. The sunset's right behind it. It's perfect. There's also a cafe in the in the castle, which is actually very good. They have great sandwiches, great drinks, and it's just an awesome experience to see the history of the castle, and then stand on top of it and watch the sunset, and then have a drink.
We got
it was a good evening.
Yeah, we got an audio guide. Note that I think a lot of audio tours are starting to go towards an app on your phone. So all of us had to download an app and just we didn't have headphones, so we had to listen to the audio of certain areas in the castle like this. So if you do want to do an audio tour, make sure you bring your own headphones. But it was actually really neat because in the castle it would show you like, hey, on this area, listen to this area, and you can learn about the history. So I thought that was pretty neat.
So that concludes part one of our Italy trip video series here.
Yeah, for part two, we're going to be talking about us going down to Sorrento, going through Naples, going to Capri, Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii, that portion of Italy. Yeah,
we hope you enjoyed this video. We wanted to put something out about our trips and our travels from just two people that aren't sponsored. We work 9 to 5s. We plan our trips around our paid time off. So we hope that you guys get something out of this, and like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more.